No, my son was 13 when we filmed this, and he said, Rocky versus Raging Bull. I said, dude, how do you know Raging Bull? Because I've watched it over your shoulder when you've watched it 1,000 times.
Sono nemici giurati, ma la rivalità più accesa è stata quella fra due pugili, Razor e Kid. Hanno combattuto solo 2 volte, ma lo spareggio non si è mai tenuto.
You were saying back in the conference that you were terrified at first, but I saw you directing Jack Nicholson some years ago, and I think that was your main school. If you can survive that, because I imagine Nicholson coming on set and doing whatever he wants. If you can deal with that, you can deal with Stallone and De Niro?
Well, it's always intimidating, working with a Hollywood icon, because not just what they represent, but I always think about the directors who have directed them and how much of an idiot I sound like compared to the voices that they've, heard whisper in their ears. But you have to forget about all of that, and you have to just get down to, the craft and telling the story.
30 anni! Sì! Rimettiti in forma.
I think something that's been an equalizer in my career is that a lot of times I get actors, dramatic actors, who are stepping into the comedy ring, and they're a little more nervous about it, and so they lean on me a little bit more than if I were doing a drama and they were saying, okay, kid, what are you going to be telling me that I don't know? And so that's nice, because it makes me feel like I have a little more validity there, and I think they feel more willing to try things because they can relax a little bit.
Vuole lo spareggio ufficiale, vi danno 100.000 ognuno.
Non posso stare nella stessa stanza con lui, non ci sto.
The biggest question is, you know how to knock Sly out. So how do you do that?
That might be digitally, because I don't think there is any way to knock that guy out. He, the interesting thing about throwing punches in a movie fight is also how to take a punch. And he can take a punch, better than any stunt guy I have ever seen.
Sono il tuo allenatore. Non sei il mio allenatore, al massimo puoi averlo mangiato.
Talking to other directors, they always told me that De Niro is quite silent during the shoot. And is it like that, and can put you in an uncomfortable place? And how is it Stallone, if you can tell me about their rituals when they are not?
Well, off camera, Bob is a little more quiet, but then I'm kind of that same way too, so we got along. I don't feel like you have to be in a room and constantly talk. Sometimes silence, you can still understand how a person's feeling. Sly is a little different. He is more of like the life of the party and likes to tell jokes and things, and he's very funny. And that was fun, to try to capture that in a bottle and pour it on stage and show that to people. That because they, not especially younger generations, haven't seen him in a comedy in several decades, so they don't know that.
But speaking of younger generation, how difficult was to make them young and challenging? How was
physically?
Yes, or even CGI, if there is CGI on that.
Well, during the fight in the third act, there's no visual effects. That's all them. In the beginning of the movie, we had a flashback to them 30 years ago. And that was very complicated. We used a company that did the de-aging effects of Brad Pitt in Benjamin Button.
Okay.
But that was just for the face. Then we had to glue, through digital effects, that face onto younger bodies, because they couldn't do the de-aging with bodies. For that, we actually used John Bernthal to play the younger version of De Niro, who ironically he's playing his son in the movie, because Bernthal is also a boxer in real life. And
a zombie killer, but that's another story.
Yeah, but we used that kind of magic with, I found some actual training footage that Scorsese shot of De Niro for Raging Bull, and some John Avildsen training footage that he shot of Sylvester during Rocky. And we used that combined with the stuff that we produced to make the montage.
Did you have Scorsese sitting to your film?
I don't know if he's seen it yet, but I was at a birthday party of Bob's and I got to go up and thank him for being a guest cinematographer in our film.
Non importa quanto vi allenerete, non sarà mai il vostro meglio.
È il meglio che possiamo.
How much was difficult to make them believable in this love triangle with Kim Basinger? Can you tell me about that?
I don't think it's hard to make anyone believable in a love triangle with Kim Basinger. Very easy. It's almost like typecasting. But they pulled it off. When you have someone that beautiful, in a movie, the challenge is, to have the BS factor of people saying, oh, come on, would she really fall for either one of those guys? That's a question you'll have to ask, but she's a good actress.
Being both of them Italian-American, are they like us, like putting everything close to their hearts, ready to argue with everything and being romantic. I mean, you spent some time with these guys. How are them?
Well, they're passionate. They're passionate about, as Italians, Italian Americans, they're passionate about their art. They're passionate about their food. They both own restaurants. I've eaten at their restaurants. I'm going to keep going back because it is good food. And it's you know, a pleasure hanging out with those guys because of all their passion.
Very quickly, and just taking 5 seconds, I always ask, what was the poster hanging on your wall when you were a kid?
The poster hanging on my wall, it was actually Tony the Tiger from the Exxon gas stations. I don't know why that came to mind, but it's true. Oh, and I had a poster for the Yellow Submarine.
Ok.
Yeah.
Da fegato venire senza reggiseno.
Ti ho cacato sulla Porsche.
Siamo in diretta, ragazzi, state buoni.